And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Hazardous weather graphic showing winter weather advisory now as winds have come down for the eastern Arctic coast. This is out until 6 p.m. Friday, so just a couple more hours to go there. Continued blowing snow and gusty winds, creating lower visibilities. And again, that ends at 6 p.m. this evening as winds drop off. Winter storm watch down here for the lower Yukon River Valley from about the Galena area on down across the Yukon Delta, and also St. Lawrence Island, Bering Strait coast there, and Norton Sound for this weekend with that large low moving into the Bering Sea. And up here on the satellite imagery, here's that storm coming up toward the Aleutians today. And so far, winds gusting up to about 30 miles an hour with snow reported Adak and Atka Island. And otherwise, just clouds over the eastern Aleutians there. And some cloudiness with some isolated light snow showers of precipitation here over south central Alaska up into the northern Kuskokwim Valley area. And another batch here, but precipitation very light with this. We had a low pressure area moving across the Dixon Entrance in the Queen Charlotte Islands, and that pushed some rain up into the southern panhandle, about 2/3 of an inch falling at Ketchikan today. And on the chart, there's that system right there moving through and weakening now, precipitation tapering off, very light amounts to the north and more scattered. And then scattered showers here for the North Gulf Coast down to Kodiak Island and up into mainly the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range. Scattered showers here in Bristol Bay along the coast, along the southwest coast, in the Yukon Delta, the St. Lawrence Island with this continuing weakening low pressure area. Otherwise, a lot less lines on the chart over the interior today, so winds coming down there in the eastern Arctic coast, still gusting up 35 to 45 miles an hour this afternoon. Pretty light, though, in the west. And next system down here, after a break over the Bering Sea with pretty light winds, same thing for the Alaska Peninsula. That's the calm before the storm here, as tonight, that low center tracks up toward Atka Island. Front will bring storm force winds ahead of it, and on the back side of that, with otherwise gale force winds in a widespread area here pushing northward and eastward. Otherwise, still some light snow showers here over the southwest interior into southern Cook Inlet. A few isolated showers now, precipitation really starting to diminish along the North Gulf Coast. Not that it was that much today. And for the Panhandle, still some shower activity possible along and off the coast as it clears out over the inside water areas, and temperatures will drop below freezing. And lighter winds with mostly clear skies from the north slope in the Arctic coast down into the interior here. Maybe some flurries over there, mostly north of Eagle over toward Old Crow there in Canada. And moving on to the outlook for tomorrow. We've got high wind warnings out for the central Aleutians, eastern Aleutians, and Alaska Peninsula for winds possibly gusting as high as 90 miles per hour as this low center lifts northward. The very tight pressure field on the south side of that producing very strong winds all day long tomorrow with strong winds, gale force winds up to the southwest coast with mixed precipitation moving in there. Snow and blowing snow increasing in the late afternoon for St. Lawrence Island and the Yukon Delta with rain and wind into Kodiak Island. Mixed precipitation, as I mentioned, possibly into the southern Kuskokwim Valley. And increasing clouds here for south central Alaska with increasing moisture and precipitation along the south coast of the Kenai Peninsula and mainly over toward the western Alaska Range. North of the mountains, though, mostly clear skies and cold temperatures all the way up to the Arctic coast. High pressure in over the Yukon there for light winds, and mostly clear and chilly for the Copper River Basin, and mostly clear for the Panhandle with some clouds and a risk of a shower along the coast. Most of that shower activity probably staying just off the coast there, and whatever does occur will be quite light and widely scattered. And then for the day on Sunday, this low weakening pulls north of the Pribilof Islands there towards St. Matthew Island. Very windy conditions with numerous snow showers here south of the front here for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. More scattered nature here over the Bristol Bay area, along with lighter winds into Kodiak Island, rain changing to showers as front lifts northward, increasing snow, Prince William Sound, or actually rain and snow for Prince William Sound, the Kenai Peninsula, and then along the Alaska Range here. and back up to the north into the Seward Peninsula with mostly clear skies, cold temperatures. Notice a gradient tightening up again there over the eastern Brooks Range, eastern Arctic coastal areas. So look for an increase in those winds once again there, all the way down the Copper River Basin. Increasing wind for the southeast coast, with this precipitation kind of holding right along the coastline there, at least through Sunday afternoon. Next system down here to the south. And for lows tonight, in the 20s for the northern panhandle and lower 30s to the south. So everybody dropping below freezing here across the southeast coast tonight, and 10 to 15 below in the Copper River Basin, 15 to 25 below over the eastern interior areas and the north slope. Below zero readings out to the west, and then into the single numbers and teens for the Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island area, and upper 20s to near 30 for Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, and 10 to 20 for south central Alaska. In the 30s for the Aleutians, upper 20s for the Pribilofs. Highs for tomorrow, upper 30s out here for the Pribilof Islands into the central Aleutians. 40 to 45 for the Alaska Peninsula, with the very strong wind conditions expected out here, and precipitation near 40 Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, and upper 20s, mid-upper 20s, south central Alaska, staying below zero over the central and eastern interior to the Arctic coast, but rising into the upper 20s here for the Nome area, and for the Panhandle, 30 to 35 in the north, otherwise mid-30s to the south. And then for the lows Sunday morning, down into the lower 20s for the northern Panhandle, actually just about everywhere in the 20s for the lows, closer to 20 here in the north, and right around 30 for the central and south coast, especially Prince of Wales Island. Lower 30s Kodiak Island, 30 to 35 Bristol Bay. In the 20s, south central Alaska, and 0 to 5 below in the west central interior there. Otherwise, 20 to 30 below over the Yukon Flats down the North Wyandotte, with lows in the lower 30s for the Pribilofs. That'll be followed by highs. Colder air kind of sweeping in as that low center lifts northward from the west, so mid to upper 30s for the Aleutians to near freezing for Shimya, mid 30s for the Pribilofs, upper 20s St. Lawrence Island, 30s for the Yukon Delta into the southern Kuskokwim Valley, cooling of course as you go north here into the teens for the Kobuk Valley out toward Kotzebue. And rising a little above zero there for the Arctic coast, and anywhere from 0 to 10 below for the eastern interior. And with increasing southeast flow here, maybe mid-30s to near 40 for areas of south central Alaska, staying right around freezing for the highs in the Susitna Valley, Matanuska Valley area, teens for the Copper River Basin, mid-20s for the northern Panhandle, otherwise 30 to 35 elsewhere.